In 3 weeks, the NFL draft takes place, April 28th through the 30th. So why not visit with Duke Tobin? Because he is the master of the draft for the Cincinnati Bengals. Executive of the Year, according to Sporting News. Boy, he's put together a couple of really good drafts and a couple of good years of free agency. And as a result, the Bengals went to Super Bowl 56. He can string together a third draft to go with this signings of all these veteran offensive linemen in free agency. Wow. Duke is on a roll. He's on a run for sure. There's no question about it. And he explains how his department analyzes things, both collegiately and professionally, and how he divides responsibilities, and how there's crossover of responsibilities, and how there's cross-checking of responsibilities. There's a lot of good stuff that Duke Tobin's talking about here. Welcome to our outstanding First Star Logistics studios. You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. And our special guest today is the Executive of the Year, according to Sporting News, and well-earned and well-deserved, no question about it, Mr. Duke Tobin of the Cincinnati Bengals. Duke, congratulations again on that heck of an achievement and how you put this football team together. And it's been a heck of a run the last couple of years for sure.
It has. We're proud of the way the players have come together and played for each other. You know, it's hard to get a group of guys to come together like our guys came together. And so we were really happy to see that. And, there was a lot of belief on our team, which is really a positive. I think we've got a lot of that nucleus coming back next year. That belief should carry forward. And, we feel good about what we've been able to accomplish this far in the offseason.
When you're putting together a roster, there's obviously free agency, there's obviously the draft and trades. And you used every single avenue. There's no doubt about it. When you're making a trade like the one that you made, Price for Hill, is that something that comes together quickly? Is it a long process? Was that trade one or the other? Was it a quick process? Was it a long process?
I don't know. You're thinking about it for a long time. You're thinking about different scenarios for a long time. But, the final stages of any trade is, if it's going to happen, it normally comes together pretty quick. You got two teams that are agreeable that they want to do something, and then it's just a matter of working out the details. And that normally is not really a long process. That's kind of a short process if it's going to get done. If it's not going to get done, pretty early in the situation. But we're always looking at our team, who we're willing to trade, who we're looking to trade for, who would help us. So the long process is the endless process that we go through, which is trying to figure out what we want to do, if anything.
So the offensive line, first of all, in last year's draft, you addressed the offensive line in the second round with Jackson Carman, in the fourth round with Deontay Smith, and in the sixth round with Trey Hill. And those guys are, now they know exactly what to expect. They've been in the National Football League for a year. They have the continuity of their offensive line coach. Year one to year two is when linemen usually make, pretty good jumps. Progressions are made. So you have those young guys to work with. Then you go out in free agency and you sign Cappa and Karras very quickly. Then you finish it off by signing Collins. I mean, that's three new guys from draft last year in free agency this year. Man, that's a quick infusion of talent.
Yeah, we feel it's a position that's so important, and you got to have guys. You expect that you're not going to get through a whole season with just five guys. So you got to have guys you believe in. You got to have guys at different stages of their career. You've got to have young guys that are developing that can come on and take over starting roles. We feel like we needed some proven veterans that have proven to be really good starters. It just came together. It's hard to start the process by saying, okay, we are going to do X. You inquire, you look, you see who's interested, you see what the numbers are, and then you adapt as it goes. And it just so happens that we were able to adapt and get three guys that we really feel good about, for our offensive line. And that's not to say we didn't feel good about guys we played with last year and young guys that are developing. But we feel like we got a pretty good group there in a lot of different ways.
So the three young offensive linemen that were drafted last year, the 46th pick of the draft, Jackson Carman, 139th pick of the draft, Deontay Smith, and 190th pick of the draft, Trey Hill. Did they all show you something? Are you encouraged by what you saw in their first year as they come into year number 2 under Frank Pollock?
Yeah, we really think all those guys have upside to them. It's very difficult to come in and play a full season and play really well as a rookie. You have to. There's a transition that goes on there. It's a bigger, faster, stronger, tougher game. You're playing against guys that are dramatically more developed, both in their technique and their physicality. And so guys figure it out. Some figure it out quicker than others. But we think all those guys that we took last year have a chance to develop and become good players for us and are already solid players for us. They played big roles for us in our AFC Championship team. So that's a pretty darn good start for those guys, and we've got a lot of belief in them going forward.
Alex Cappa and Ted Karras were very, very quickly signed to the franchise. Obviously, there was mutual interest there. What was the attraction to both of those guys? Give us a couple of 3 things that you said, you know what, I like Cappa because of this, I like Karras because of that.
They both have a lot of similar traits, so it'll sound like I'm just repeating, but they're tough, consistent players that compete down after down. They've got very good balance and strength. They anchor well, and they have versatility, especially Karras, because Karras can play guard and center. We like guys that are versatile. It gives us options going forward. They're both at what we consider in the prime of their career, and they're just really consistent players. You know what you're going to get. And they do the things that we want to do on offense, and they do those things well. And so we think they're good scheme fits for us. They're good character fits, good locker room fits, and proven players that have played high-level football. They both played on high-level teams, and that means something. But we were very happy that they were interested in us, and we were able to work out the details.
Yeah, when you come into a locker room with Super Bowl rings hanging off your fingers, that's instantaneous credibility with your teammates. That's for darn sure. There's no question about that. I mean, they've been to where everybody aspires to be. Everybody aspires to get there. There's no question about it. Collins, and looking at that kid play, he's a premier guy now. This guy's no joke at right tackle.
Yeah, we think if he can stay healthy and stay on the field, that's been the biggest issue he's had. It's not his play when he's on the field. His play when he's on the field, he's one of the nastiest, toughest players in the NFL. I mean, he prides himself on being that, and it comes through when you watch him play. We think that he's poised to get right back to where he was a few years ago and be really a solid right tackle that we can count on down after down, game after game, and that can give our quarterback some comfort.
So let's talk about another guy that is involved at the end of the line of scrimmage in the running game, and then obviously when you throw the football as well. Hayden Hurst. C.J. Uzomah moved on to the New York Jets. An opportunity presents itself, and Hayden Hurst is a guy that you guys go out and pursue and get to sign with the football team. What did you like about him when you studied Hayden Hurst?
Yeah, it was tough losing C.J. C.J.'s a guy that meant a lot to a lot of us here. It's just the way that the National Football League works right now. But we were fortunate to be able to circle back on Hayden Hurst because he's a guy that we think in the role that we have for him, it'll really be a great fit. He's had other kind of number one tight end receivers ahead of him recently, And we think being kind of the main receiving tight end, he'll really be able to blossom in that. But he's got great hands, competitiveness. He does well in the run game, and we think he's got quickness to separate and also play within zones. And we think he and our quarterback will gel well together. So we're looking forward to seeing how that goes.
With the success that you've had this past season, you get the 31st pick in the first round of the draft. And the way it looks, the quarterbacks, there may be a team that might want to move up late in the first round. I mean, I've seen quarterbacks being picked at 30 and 32 in some of these mock drafts. You're sitting right there at 31. If somebody decides there's only been a couple of quarterbacks taken, it's late first round, I might want to move up and get my guy and not take a chance on him surviving into the second round. Do you foresee that possibility, the way this draft's shaken down and where you are in terms of positioning with your first round draft pick? Do you think you'll get some calls that somebody wants to move up and say, I want my quarterback in the first round and get that fifth year, get that option?
Dave, I don't know. I don't know. Speculation isn't something that I do a lot of. It just, I've got so many demands on things that are more concrete than just speculating on possibilities. We'll talk about the possibility of moving down, of moving up. We'll have meetings on that. What will it take to get us to move down to this level, to this level, to this level? What will it take to entice us to move up to this level, to this level, to this level? We'll sketch all that out. Whether a team is going to be sitting on a quarterback at 31, I could not tell you that. It would just be a guess. I don't spend a ton of time daydreaming about that. But if it happens, we'll certainly be ready. And it'll depend on who's available to us. If you could tell us who the first 30 picks were and what somebody, then it would be a little bit easier. But sure, all that stuff is possible. Anything is possible. Whether it's probable or not, I just don't know. And but trades are trades. They're organic. They come together when they come together. And I don't have anything bubbling up on that front right now. So we're still trying to line up our guys by position and stack them correctly for us. And that's what we'll be spending the next 2 or 3 weeks doing.
Yeah, I totally get it. Totally understand. I'm thinking, boy, as I look back to drafts like Lamar Jackson, trade up to get him right at the end, the 32nd pick in the first round. Teddy Bridgewater, you moved up to get him right at the very end of the first round to get that extra year, with your quarterback. And I'm thinking, man, might be in a pretty decent position if only a couple of the highly regarded quarterbacks go. That one hit me as, it's speculation for sure, but it was a good speculation.
Yeah. Well, potentially. Maybe you're Karnak. I don't know. You would be better at doing that than I would be, though.
So let's talk about, like you said, everything's open at 31. Offensive line, even with what you've addressed, if an offensive lineman slides and he's the best guy on the board, you pull the trigger, right? But even let's go to the other side of it. Let's look at maybe like an edge rush guy, and people, forget that, what, last year's draft, you spent some capital on edge rush guys too. Osai with the 69th pick, third round pick of the draft, showed a lot of promise, and then unfortunate injury. Hubert got hurt early, but Hubert is a try hard guy that, is a very productive football player. You got Cam Sample at number 111. You got Tyler Shelvin at pick number 122. You really addressed your offensive and defensive line, and these edge rush guys, Sample showed he could play.
Yeah, we think Osai is going to be a real benefit. He's like an extra pick this year because, he would have really helped us throughout the course of the year. He would have been a key component to what we were doing on defense, and it was unfortunate that he got hurt. You can't predict those things, and it lingered for a long time, and that's just the way that it is. But we think he'll be back full go, and we think he'll be a main player for us this year. So that's good news. But in terms of what we'll do at 31, we're not going to pass up a premier player at a position that might not be an immediate need or as pressing a need as another position. It's nice to fill in your needs. It's nice to fill in the easy to fit holes on your depth chart. But at the same time, we'll be mindful that if there's a guy there that is clearly better, in our opinion, that's probably where we'll go, regardless of position.
How about cornerback in terms of talent available in this year's draft? Is the cornerback, and I guess, you know, every draft has players. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, it's not like, oh, geez, boy, this draft is totally.
You just got to get the right one, Lap. Yeah, you just got to get the right one. You know, it's not it's not a matter of if they're there, and they've got to leave them for you when you're picking as late as we are. And in each round, it'll be a heavier chore than what we've had, because you'll have to have more guys on the ready list, ready to go in your thoughts, because you're going late on day one, late on day two, late again on day two, and then late on day three, all the way through. So it can be a little bit of a grind, but we'll certainly have enough guys that we like. We think it's a pretty deep draft in most positions, but you just never know how it's going to get picked over as the draft unfolds. You can have runs in different areas that clean you out of a position, then you got to shift focus. And I think that's probably, you know, what'll happen to some degree this year.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.